I'm not sure where my footage went, but I cut this scrap piece of OSB down to the size that I wanted for this panel. And what am I making, you might ask? Well, it's nothing really complicated, and I wanted to use up some scrap material. My wife wanted a walnut panel to hang things on in her classroom, so that's what she gets. Some of these are leftovers from other projects or tabletops that I just had offcuts laying around, and then some of them are these little pieces of walnut that I've had looking for something to do with them, and I decided to just slice up a few of them and make more strips to cover this piece. I'm just cutting them all to different random lengths, and you'll see why later. As long as they're all the same width, then my rows will look consistent, but then them being different lengths will have a nice look. I spent some time at the table saw resawing all of these pieces into little strips. I decided the table saw was the fastest way to do this, even though it's not the most efficient as far as the blade taking off more sawdust. I wasn't trying to get too exact with resawing these because it was meant to look a little bit rustic, and a few of mine were a different thickness, but for most of them going forward, since I was creating these strips, my method was to use one of my mag switch pro feather boards and set it to a certain spot. Then each time I made a cut, I could move the fence over until I bumped that again and make another rip, and I just kept doing this until I had all the pieces I needed. Just to make sure we had enough to cover our piece, we laid them out a couple of different times to make sure we had enough coverage. As you can see here, I had enough left over that I was going to be able to cover that last little part. So I proceeded with cleaning up the edges, and then we could head to gluing them on. In my experience, when you're gluing strips onto a board like this, the light color of the background really shows through, so I just hit it really quickly with some black spray paint. Dovoh sent me this 4-plane laser level, and it was really great. I planned on using it for multiple other things, but it came in really handy for this project. So the premise is I would set up my board, my background board here, and then use the laser on a tripod, which is one of the ways you can set it up, to shoot a laser down a row. Then every once in a while, I could check to make sure my rows are still lining up level. There will be some variance between your pieces, but you don't want your levels to start getting off. So every once in a while, I would shoot the laser again and see that my rows are still lining up to make sure that as I continue, everything looks nice and straight. They sent me this laser free of charge. I used it for this project and I plan on using it on multiple others. I've got some more renovation projects in mind. Some things I really like about it are the rechargeable batteries and how bright the green laser is. Even in quite a bright area, I had the door open at one point, you could still see the green line, and that's very important when you're shooting a laser all the way across a room. So definitely go check them out. I'll link this laser down below in the description. I used a little bit of glue and some really short pin nails to secure these pieces. The pin nails basically just hold it down well enough until the glue dries on the backside, and then everything is quite secure. As you can see, I have the Dovoh laser level set up right here on my tripod, and I was shooting it for the first row to make sure I got it nice and straight, and then occasionally I would just pull it out, realign it, and make sure that my rows are lined up nicely together, and just keep checking as I went. This was actually way more tedious of a project than I thought it would be. I don't know what I was expecting, but there were so many pieces and so many strips. I just didn't expect it to take quite this long. I trimmed it to final size with my track saw and then hit it with a couple of coats of spray lacquer. Here it is finished, but let's go see it put in its final place.
Whoa, I didn't know it looked like that on the other side.
Yeah. Where are we gonna put this joker?
Right behind my desk.
You won't block your plug.
No. What do you think?
Pretty cool. Classes up the joint.